No one, that day in 1962, suspected the impact that Julia Child would have on their lives. Not Russ Morash, who with his wife Marion would be inextricably linked with her for the next 35 years, nor the suits at WGBH, which would become, thanks to Julia, a media colossus, one of the most influential producers of highbrow TV in the world, and the platform for Julia's rise to prominence. That day, you could sense the droning boredom inherent to educational television. The set was woefully spare. 2 leather Harvard chairs, a coffee table, and a fake philodendron, nothing more. The crew, uninspired, went about business with monotonous languor. It was hard to get it up for 2 scholars discussing a book. There was some confusion in the studio leading up to airtime. The cameraman for People Are Reading apparently misheard the assignment. It sounded like the director said there would be a live demonstration. Impossible! This show was a walkthrough, practically a paid night off. There was no rehearsal to speak of, and therefore little for him to do. It was the same thing, week in, week out, 2 heads talking for a scant half hour. Since no one ever moved, the cameraman merely set up the shot and took a seat. Nothing to it. But someone had gone and thrown a monkey wrench into the works. The guest actually was going to do a demonstration. On a book show, of all things. No rehearsal necessary. They'd go into it straight away. And the camera setup promised to be tricky. It was obvious the minute the guest walked in the door. Julia Child wasn't your basic Cambridge housewife. She was huge. Bill Russell huge. The kind of person who filled a room. And larger than life, her square footage, swimming in a loose-fitting blouse and pleated skirt, seemed to expand as she swung herself along as if nothing in the natural world could contain her. She was a fair, russet-haired woman, already 50, going soft in her waist, yet well-aligned, with fine-toned arms that suggested constant physical use. Her body from the side provided a glimpse of the curse imposed on middle-aged women, with their expanding torsos and athletic legs, which threw their symmetry off balance. At 6'3", that aspect verged on anarchy. Most women that size and build appeared lumbering, gently clumsy. But there was an aristocratic self-possession in the way Julia carried herself, something solid, yet graceful, that gave her presence an assertive, irrefutable quality. Her size seemed like a tool she could use, like a car salesman with a grin, though she resisted turning it into an unfair advantage. Whatever anxieties weighed on the cameraman when he learned there would be a demonstration, he could not have been prepared for the spectacle Julia created. He was clearly awestruck by her, pop-eyed and open-mouthed. This impression was punctuated by the paraphernalia cradled in her arms. Framed under a bank of overhead spots, she stood in the middle of the studio clutching a ring burner, a long-handled pan, and a distended bag of groceries, ready to roll. In the coming years, that very image, Julia Child, poised and prepared in a TV kitchen, became the iconic image of cooking in America. But in 1962, this was quite an odd scene. Cooking, like sex, was practiced privately, and some might say without much enthusiasm, in the home. Few gave the process much of a second thought. Preparing a delicious meal on TV, with an elaborate array of ingredients and specialized equipment, was unheard of, to say nothing of harebrained. The notion of Julia lumbering about in front of the camera, juggling pots, pans, and who knows what all, flanked by a baffled host who couldn't have cared less about cooking, much less her book, could not have escaped the cameraman's gaping eye. When Julia finally piped up and those vocal flourishes, the trills and flutters began to shoot about like fireworks, the image turned almost comical.